Okay, here we are, finally, episode 10. So this marks the last episode of this series. There is, as I've been saying all the way along, a bonus episode to come, which will be episode 11. That will be this time next week, which will have a rundown of all the goings on at Telford. So I'll take some pictures, do some filming and all the rest of it. Not sure how much I'm going to do with either of it, but I'll do as much as I can. And I'll show you my version of the show. But this week we have got some near completions, I guess. What I would call this is table ready, which I often do for shows because, you know, from this case you can take this for another, you could spend another 5 hours on this model to get it to where you want it to be. Unfortunately, unless you're really looking for it, the vast majority of people are going to not see it any more than what they can see now. So therefore, instead of rushing, because this is the Monday I'm filming this, so we're packing up and going on the Thursday. So I mean, there's nothing to be done on the Thursday this week. So with that in mind, I'd just be rushing it. So there's absolutely no point. It's table ready. It's good to go. I've just had the matte coat on, taken the masks off the glazing. I was going to do a panel line wash. I will try and do a panel line wash if I get around to it, but I'm not going to lose too much sleep because, as you'll see on the video, this is plenty good enough to be on the table. So happy with that. Finally got there. Managed to get this one over the line yesterday really, but then I just wanted to work on the carrier film that was at the back here, so I added a bit of a heavy matte coat on there and just to try and blend it in. What can we say about this one? Well, the painting scheme, it looks quite basic, but it's not simple, shall we say. There's a little bit of tricky masking to get the black that they've got there for the exhaust staining. I imagine that's why they put it there, to just cover exhaust staining, which seems a strange thing to do. I don't know if they did that after this this period. But they had a thing about hiding exhaust stains for some reason on their lovely 109 Emils, the brand new ones. This is 691, it's J88, which was the group that all the 109s were assigned to in Spain. This is an E3, as I've been saying all along. And it's quite a nice scheme actually. And one thing to say about Eduard is they've really gone to the next sort of level as far as the decals. I mean, they've really done the research. The Mickey Mouse, for instance, this one has a pale sole to its boot, and one of the other schemes doesn't, has a black sole to its boot. Just little things like that. Picking out the stencil data, which this one had, which is quite minimal, just a few odd bits in places. But then some of the other schemes that you get in this kit have the actual different stencil data, where they got sort of personal insignias and things like that added. And then the decal for the white tail wheel as well. All of these things just bring this up to a very nice looking model. We've got the green there as well, so that's ROM 71 there on the front of the oil cooler, I want to say, which was another feature of Spanish 109s and some 109s in World War II, so it's always worth checking the reference material. It's very easy to overlook that as a detail. What can I say? Very happy with it. Let's see what it looks like if we've got enough room. Let's get the D. They're going to be side by side. It should look quite the part. How's that look? Can we see that? Oh, that's a nice... There you go. There's a nice image. So we've got the E and the D. A nice couple of classic 109s there, isn't that? That makes for quite a thing. That's... When you're at this stage and you're sort of burned out a little bit, I've got to be honest, it has pushed me a bit too far, I suppose. It sort of makes it worth it when you see this. You can see what kind of collection this is going to be. I've got the same thing in a minute with the i16. There's going to be hopefully a couple guys bringing some other big 109s to the table. We're going to do a bit of a theme this year. We've got to get the 109s out of the way somewhere. Next year is the Italian theme, so that would be a bit more interesting. But you've got to love a 109, especially if you can throw in an early D. And I'm going to drop my friend in it now. He's bringing he's done a conversion with an A. It's an all-silver aircraft. It's Troutloff's V4 with the green heart, 6.1. So there you go. It's got to be on the table now because I've mentioned it in this update. And all you can come and say, well, you can say in the comments below how much you're looking forward to it, and that will add the pressure. So it's really quite nice. this is the time to enjoy it, I suppose. It's been a very long haul. I got one more day, Tuesday. While you're actually watching this, I'll be finishing off the Boomerang that you're about to see in a minute. And then that's it. I'm drawing a line to everything tomorrow because I just can't can't bear to worry about it. So going to box up then on Thursday, have a complete day off on Wednesday, not worry about any of it. And that should be good to go, nice and refreshed and ready to head up on Friday. So thanks for following along with these builds. This E3 is going to be coming up as a full build after Telford. I'll try and get it out. It'll be out in November. I'm going to have quite a few big videos coming out, so going to stagger them a little bit, but you'll certainly see them. I've tried to film as much as I can. It's got a bit tight. I must admit I didn't film much of the painting on this one, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, that is the 109 E3, the Condor Legion boxing from Eduard. That's the last time it's going to be on this series. It's got itself just in time to actually look the part. A few little small details to go on, but quite the kit. It fought me in places, but you know, when you get to this stage you forget all about that, and it's a reasonably nice kit. I think mine suffered more from poor quality control than anything else, and I'm really quite pleased with it. So let's move on to the next thing. Now, you may be able to be bored by seeing a couple of 109s, but you know, I challenge you to be bored by seeing two Polikarpov I-16s. They're quite the aircraft. Again, something that now I'm seeing it, I'm very happy about just how unique it looks. So it's quite nice having the two of these. You may realise that with all of this, where I'm doing repeat builds, this is a 2016 build. The D was a 2018 build, and I'm obviously retiring these off now. So this is its last run out. It's going to Telford for one last time, then this one will be taken over, and so on. And I think you can see the progression somewhat. This one hasn't been weathered yet, but even so, I mean, I think this looks far better than that one. But this was a bit of a nemesis kit. This is the Azure kit, and I mean, even to get that this far was quite a well, achievement for that time, because I wasn't very good at aircraft modelling, and boy, that's a bad kit, to say the least. But it's done, and it's had a run out, and it's had a wonderful life, and it's now going into retirement. Thankfully, this year we've had ICM come out with a full injection moulded kit of the I-16 Type 10, which means we don't need to worry about building this one anymore. Actually, looking at them, the Azure kit holds up really quite well. This certainly has a refinement over it, but you know, the Azure kit is there, and it's not a bad attempt, to be honest. And my sort of weathering of the time as well, it's not too bad. It's a lot of green's gone on there. It's obviously much darker green than this one. This is a more vivid red as well, which I need to tone down a bit. This is a toned down version of it, but this is still quite bright. It was a bit too bright for what I wanted to do, but it's obviously on there now, so you can't do much about it. Again, this one is table ready, so I'm happy with that, and they're going to go on and do the display. All the markings are painted on. Again, this has been filmed. Unfortunately, I did not film the much of the painting. Can't do a lot about it. But nonetheless, again, they make quite a feature, don't they? It's nice to. It's very easy to neglect the Republican stuff, I found. There's a lot of love for the nationalist stuff. Everyone loves to put the black cross on the white background, but I've got to be honest, my heart lies with the Republican side, as so many do, I suppose. It's got that kind of I don't know what the word is. Romance certainly isn't the word. You've got to be a bit careful with this. It was, you know, we're talking about a war, but it conjures up the image of the people, I suppose, the Republican fight. Whether that was the case or not, that's just the image it gives you. And it's quite nice to see, you know, it's almost like the underdog, although, you know, technically they weren't. It's just nice to see it. So it's good to have some Republican stuff on. And this one certainly up things in the Republican favour as well. So we're going to have some big builds there. We've got the Storch, two large 109s, like I say. Hopefully some other large 109s are being brought, and we've got two Polikarpovs in 1/16 scale, so 1/32 scale. So now I've got to think about finding something that's a Republican plane that I can build in 1/32 scale again for next year. So ICM, if you're listening, please give us the I-15 Chateau. Let's do that. We can have the I-15 and the I-15 bis. That would be great, wouldn't it? At the minute we've got the I-15 free. Are they going to do it in 1/32? Who knows? But it would be nice to see it, wouldn't it? That would be quite a thing in this scale. But again, hopefully you've enjoyed all of this, and thanks for following along with this build. Very glad to see this one over the line. Nice to see the two together again, and very much looking forward to putting them on the table. So now it's time for what a lot of you have probably been waiting for, the boomerang. So here we are. This is the first stage of weathering done here. I've put panel line washes on over the top and the bottom. It's just enough to give it a little bit of definition. Then I tend to go a little bit deeper and then a little bit deeper again. This one really kind of came into its own in the late stages. It was one of those kits that I really didn't know if I was going to get there at one point, but all of a sudden it came together, and here we are, and I'm pretty happy with it. I can see the end is in sight. I've shown the customer pictures of it, and he's very happy with how it is, so I've got the discretion to go as far as I want to with the weathering, and we're almost in agreement that it looks so nice clean. We were going to go to town on it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to. I've got the ISO set a bit high on the camera, so unfortunately it's actually, this looks pure white, but it's not. There is quite a lot of tonal variation going on across this one. So mainly tonight, like I've said, it's been about the panel lines on the top. Tomorrow I'm going to go deeper on the panel lines, then get some pigment on, then come back through the pigment with some oils, which usually gives a nice fading and staining effect, and also work on the landing gear and finish off the exhaust here. And I think we're going to be well on the way to it. I think that's going to be good enough to stop there, to be honest, because it'd be very easy to go too far on it, and you know, you really want to capture the sort of feature of the boomerang, which is the kind of strange, it's like a bulbous shape to it. It's a funny wing. There's a lot to be admired by the aircraft, I suppose. I can see why people like it. I think I've proved by the build series that we've had on, which we'll be finishing next Sunday. We'll have the final part on that. This is not an unbuildable kit, but you've really got to want to get to the end. I mean, I was pushed by the fact of promising it to someone, and you know, I like to see it through. My own builds sometimes fall by the wayside, but when you've got someone who's obviously interested in it, wants the build, and has got some excitement for it, well, that kind of drives you on to get it done. And I'm very happy that he is happy with what I've produced as well. So all in all, it's been quite interesting. It's a character building aircraft for sure. It's not an easy build. It's not a nice kit to work with. It's under a short run technology kind of umbrella, but you know, you can't really forgive any of the shortcomings for that. I mean, there's short run companies that do it a lot better than what this was done, including Special Hobby, who actually made this kit. They've done a lot better than what they've done with this one. I just don't understand what happened. It's like they, well, I don't know, I'm not going to go into it. I don't know what's happened, but it's very, very poor as far as engineering. That said, we do have a boomerang here. It is built, it is done. It's not the end of the world. I'm sure there is worse kits out there. I just haven't built them yet. And notice I say yet. All in all, with the etch set that was supplied with it and a few other bits, it has actually come together and made for a very nice, nicely detailed model. The cockpit in there, there's quite a lot going on. I'll see if I can show you. I think we've got a bit there now showing. We've got the nice big instrument panel in there, which is an etch fret. It's basically, it's Eduard, but it's an MPM sort of repop of it, I suppose. Got some nice levers in there, all showing up. We've got the framework. There is some dials on the side walls behind the framework there as well. Seat belts again, much better than the kit supplied ones. And we've got a resin seat, which is kit supplied, and then this is photo etch at the back here as well. So don't knock it, blimey. That's what happens now. You drop it on the floor, and then yeah, you just hear me sobbing in the corner. The lights are doing weird things now, but there we go. I mean, I don't know how much I like the aircraft. I've got to be honest. It's not my sort of thing. But if you're into the Australian Air Force, I mean, I would have said it was an absolute must. So hopefully there's been something in the videos that I've done that if you do want to tackle one of these, it might help you along the way. Deep breath, maybe a glass of whiskey. and just go into it, I suppose. There are attributes to it that are actually quite good. I mean, the underwing, this whole one piece, is great. There's no, usually you've got issues here, you've got seam lines and stuff. That does actually slot in if you do it all right. Comes in back here and over there, and it's okay. The engine as well, up in there, once you've actually done it, it's all right as well. The cockpit is very fiddly, but if you were to spend a couple of weeks on it, you're gonna get there. So that's, I suppose, the way you'd want to do it, is have this as a long-term build. Maybe chuck 6 months at it, have it in the background, do a couple of weeks. When it gets to you, just put it back in the box, start again, but you get there eventually. Some pointers, you're going to have to do something on the lights. They don't fit out of the box, so go into it knowing it, and you might be able to get the lenses in there. I had to take the lenses out and just kind of make an attempt at a lens by using some clear sprue. The windscreen was an issue with my kit, and still closed canopy is not an option because it doesn't fit around the front, and I've had to build this up with a piece of stretch sprue and melted it in there. But if you're going to have it open, once you've pushed it down, it will actually clip and hold. So that's another thing to bear in mind. I would go ahead and get the mass set that Montex do. That was very useful for the canopy, and it's worked very well. Decals, the roundels on the white parts for the roundels are a little bit transparent. It does show through. I mean, it's not like you can actually see the demarcation line of the camouflage, but it is cloudy. It's not a strong white, so that would be something to think about as well. Not so much of a problem on the underside. And I would suggest taking some time to think about the colours, because these colours for the RAAF birds are quite tricky. Foliage green's pretty much easy enough to get a handle on. That's Mr. Colour 302. Or convert that into their acrylic range. I've used ROM 76 for the underside sky colour, but a good idea of what it looks like is actually the decals that you get with it. So that's a good attempt. And then the brown is very tricky. I used this one, Mr. Hobby, which is their dark earth colour, and you can see the difference. I then changed the shade of this quite considerably with red brown. The best I could find on the internet was the RAAF colours were a couple tones darker to allow for fading, and the brown was a lot redder. So hopefully that's of interest. There was a chap, I forget the name, he left a few messages on one of my Boomerang builds with links to these websites, and it was very helpful, so thank you very much for doing that. If you're watching, that was absolutely brilliant. It came to me just in the right time as I was starting to paint. So there we go, Boomerang's done. Final update on that one will be Sunday, and I hope you find it enjoyable. Now, I did promise you last week of a review of this one. Didn't get around to it, so I thought we could just have a look at it. Just a bit of a box break like I did with the Sherman back along. Just have a quick run through, not a proper in-depth review, just to see some of the interesting attributes. So, looking at this first, we've got a nice bundle of sprues that come here in the typical grey plastic from Eduard, and it's quite a lot compared to some of the other World War I kits we've been looking at. There's a lot more plastic in this one. Now, whether that is due to the fact we've got lots of parts we're not going to use, I'm not sure. No, I was wondering if those wings were actually not used, but it does look like they are two parts. Yeah, so these make up your lower wing and your upper wing, so that gives you the nice curve to the wing. This does look quite a lot newer than some of the World War I kits, so things are looking pretty good. There are these two propellers we don't use, and then there's a few other options, so you've got to check as you go through the instructions which one you're going to do, because there's different fuselage used here, so you've got different type of fuselage, A or B, depending on the marking, so make a decision there. You've also got a bit you've got to cut off there as well. And then we were discussing the marking schemes last week. I would actually be picking this one, which is MFJ3 1918. I just like the idea of the white with the yellow and using that decal. So that's one of the main features on this that we'll get to in a second. So while we're there, looking at those marking options, like I said, I'll be doing the B scheme. So we've got a nice engine here, which is two parts. We've got a separate chair there which has decal seat belts, harnesses. which is quite useful. Not sure, I've always thought about doing them on masking tape. I haven't tried it yet. We've got raised ribs as well on the actual wings, and we've got rib tapes to go on there, which is lozenge pattern. So you've got rib tapes, and then you've got the pattern that goes on underneath, then the rib tape goes over the top. And that is for both marking options. Both got lozenge pattern added. So again, they're very nice. No, there's no flash or anything. There's no mismolds, no problem I can see across this at all. Looks very, very sharply done, to be honest. Then we've got the other 2 sprues, and this makes up for the fuselage halves. Oh, in fact, we've got 4 fuselage. Right, so that's for the 2 different types, presumably. I am no expert, which you can probably tell on this aircraft, but I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments if I make a glaring mistake. But we've got the struts running through here, which look very cleanly moulded, very fine actually, with small fixing points that should locate into the wing, I hope. Then we've got here, actually, it looks like stitching that goes on the underside. There's a small narrow piece that must fill in on the bottom. Yeah, it all looks pretty good. We've got exhausts there. Again, we're at the stage where they're not... Oh, they are drilled out. Sorry, it goes the other way. Yes, we've got a large opening there on the exhaust, which is drilled out. Which is nice to see. You can just see it there, drilled out. So that's good. We've got some internal structure as well on the fuselage, which is raised detail, which is also a nice, nice touch as well. So it looks like it's going to be pretty good. There's no raised detail on the fuselage, but you do have noticeable sort of panels there that you can see the kind of structure as it runs down. Again, a very nice touch. So we've seen the instructions, we've seen the kit, now let's get into the main event. It's the decals. So first off, these are printed by Eduard again. I was speaking to someone online that didn't realise that they are actually printing them, but they are printing them in-house, and they are absolutely stunning things. So starting with the actual decals for the marking options, we've got some lovely printing going on there, all very much in register. Here are the seat belts. The carrier film is so tight running around there. This is obviously all in one block of a carrier film, but there's no extra carrier film either side. It's hugging it straight to where it needs to be. The crosses, again, carrier film's right in there. We've got an instrument panel decal as well, which has got some wood grain on it. A few small bits of stencil data, and what looks like very clear, I don't know what they're for, semicircles that they might actually be there to raise up. Yes, I'm not sure what they are for. Number 11, I'll see if I can find it on the instruction sheet. Oh yeah, they go on top of the lozenge decal, on top of the wing. So they must be something to do with fixing or bracing points. So that's very interesting. Then onto the lozenge pattern. So this will be a project in its own right, I think, putting this on and getting it all right. Do let me know in the comments if you've done this, because I've never actually had a go at this, and I cannot wait to get started on it. It looks like one of the most sort of fun things to get right. I suppose it's a nightmare to most people, but oh, look at that. It's absolutely stunning. This kit was £12. The decals are almost worth that. Nothing wrong there. Again, carrier film exactly round every single shape. And that pattern is wonderful. Brilliantly done. I mean, you know, it speaks for itself. You let me know. I mean, there's just absolutely no problems with this. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments, guys. We've got patches here for the interior all the way through. Wow, very good. Look at that. And this is 2010, so there you go. This has been out for a while. So they must have been printing their own decals for some time. As it says, made in the Czech Republic. I mean, they could be outsourced, but these look very much, to me, they don't look anything like what I've seen Cartograph put out before. And Cartograph do vary with each manufacturer, because obviously it's what the manufacturer asks them to print. They print. It's not what they do themselves. They can print anything. They can print this, but if you don't ask for it, you don't get it. And then we've got the rib tapes as well. Blimey, look at that. Well, I will be starting this one sometime before Christmas. Do it in the background, but I'll let you know how I get on. And I'll obviously film the whole process all the way. Now, if you can't tell, I'm starting to lose my voice here, so it might be time to bring this to an end. I've had rather a long weekend, rather a long week, rather a long season. I'm glad you stayed with me. Let's bring this one to an end. And there we go. That's it. That's episode 10, season 1. We're done. The season's done. I'm done. Everything's done. It's been enjoyable, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I'm just tired now. So I need to recharge, ready for the show on the weekend. I've got plenty of time to do that, so rest assured I'll be raring to go when Saturday starts and the doors open. So all there is left to say is, if you're coming to Telford, please do swing by the table. We're in Hall 1. It's the Spanish Civil War SIG. Got 2 tables. There's going to be plenty on the display. It's going to be pretty good. I'm going to be there most of the time. I'm not going around the show and spending loads this time. I've actually already pre-booked quite a lot of stuff, and a lot of the special things I was after last year aren't going to be there. So famous last words. You watch when we do the reveal next week on the bonus one, showing you what I bought. But if you are around, please do step by the table and have a chat. I don't bite, and it's nice to hear what you guys think of everything. And if you've been following the channel, it's nice to finally meet. We're all in it doing the same thing, so it's good to catch up. So I'm rambling here a bit now, but if you want to see any of these builds, they'll obviously be on the table. Unfortunately, the Boomerang won't, but the other ones will. So I'd love to know your thoughts of what you actually think seeing them in person. I'd also love to know your thoughts down below in the comments. What you thought of this season. Was it a good idea? Is it something you've enjoyed? Do you like the thought of having season 2 coming? If you do, maybe give me some ideas what you thought about this one, what you liked, what you didn't like, what worked, what didn't work. I've been keeping an eye on the views, and it seems things have been quite consistent. So there's me hoping that they're the same people watching every week. That's my hope. That's what it's designed for. This is meant to be the sort of thing I look for on YouTube. Don't often find so much, something that you can put on in the background whilst you're modelling, and you almost don't need to look, and you can glance up now and again. It's hopefully well produced, and because sometimes you get noises going up and down that can be a bit off-putting from my point of view. So again, I try and make sure everything's at one level and nice to be on in the background. That's the idea. That's the whole point to this. So I'm going to hopefully refine this, bring it back for another go. Like I said, it's probably going to be after Christmas now with the things that are lined up. I'll keep you updated with monthly updates. We'll go back to that, but I think then we'll probably start in January and run through until my spring period, when things start to get a bit busy for me, and then again there's another natural break. Then we can bring it back at the end of the summer, and then do it again up to hopefully Telford 2020 again, see how everything's going. But we're a long way off from all of that. We've got to get 2019 Telford out the way first. But as you can hear, hopefully you realise I'm enthusiastic and happy to do it, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. I hope you guys have too. I am very, very grateful for everyone who's followed along with the channel, and I hope you'll join me next week when we have a recap on Telford. I'll sit in front of the camera, I promise you. If you see my face again, I probably haven't seen it for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. Or maybe even 10 weeks since we started this. Who knows? It's been a long time. But yeah, I'll be back in front of the camera next week. Hopefully have a stack of models next to me on the bench that we'll have a look at. Usual Telford haul. And a usual recap and talk through photos. So stay tuned for that one. Again, many thanks for staying tuned. Many thanks for following the channel. If you're not going to the Telford or you're not doing anything like that, then Sunday you're going to have the final for the Boomerang. Probably not much else going up this week. And then next week we'll try and bring a few of these to a close and try and get some build videos up there for you. So, as always, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Give the video a like if you like what you've seen. And I'll see you in the next video. In this lozenge, which is lozenge pattern, certain bits when you put the lozenge, I can't say it, lozenge decal on.